Member of the popular American group of the 60s, the Byrds. This Friday night, Roger McGuinn and David Crosby, who unfortunately is snowed in New Hampshire at this very moment, will perform at the Beacon Theater right here in town. And before we talk to Roger, here is a clip from a show the two did last week.
I slept last night in a Greek hotel. Went shopping today for jewels. The wind rushed around this dirty town, and the children let out from their school. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle-jangle morning, I'll come following you. Why don't you sing that with me? Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there ain't no place I'm going to.
We welcome you to Live at 5, and people in New York can get an example of that this Friday, where it's not just you and David Crosby on the bill, it's a whole mixture of,
right,
I don't know what to say.
John Sebastian's there. I think it's almost everybody who was a folk singer in the early Village and then later became a rock entity, got into the rock field.
One would assume from this tape that they will get mostly folk.
Well, my set is mostly folk or folk style. It's, contemporary songs in a folk format. David comes out and he does that for a little while, and then he brings his band out.
Are you still McGuinn, Clark, and Hillman? What's happening with you musically, Roger? Is it are you and David, or what?
No, I'm just solo right now.
You're solo right now?
Yeah, McGuinn, Clark, and Hillman stopped about 3 years ago, and I've been going solo ever since.
Before you did, I assume, a mini tour with David Crosby, what was your thinking going in after the People magazine article, which described the terrible straits that he was in following drug problems?
Well, I'm very sad about that situation, and I hope that I can be of some help to him.
When I asked that question, I meant, did you have any misgivings? Did you feel like I'm really taking a big chance, or had you talked to him?
I really didn't worry about it. I just figured, I'd trust the Lord for that.
You are a born-again Christian,
That's
have
right.
been for the last 4 years. Most of the public, including myself, when someone says they accept it, that it's perfectly easy to do that. Over the last 4 years, have you had temptations to stray, or?
Not really. I've had a pretty good time of it. It's been about 7 years now. 6 years. I accepted Jesus in 1977, and it's been a great time. It's been really smooth going. It's been wonderful.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because the life of a entertainer, well, to put it, it can be just so horrendous in terms of pressure, and also boredom at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was coming from.
Well, this just makes it wonderful. I mean, it takes all the edge off of it. It does for me what drugs used to do, only drugs didn't do it. Drugs just left me wanting more drugs. And
feeling bad.
Yeah, and feeling terrible. And this makes me feel great. So.
Well, this is good. What would you say would be your audience now when you go out? I think there's a huge gap in audience now. The people that used to like you and Crosby, Stills and Nash, et cetera, are looking for somebody to go see.
Right. There's that demographics group of 25 to 44, and they don't really have much to look at, especially on television. And I hope some people do something about that. I'd like to see, some videos and things like that in that time period.
Doesn't it kind of trap you into staying in the 60s musically?
Well, my feeling is my music is something that I've always done. I did it before the 60s, and I've been doing it through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and it's like folk music. It's been around forever, and so I don't really feel that it's 60s music. I feel that it's kind of timeless.
Well, I think of you as the total musician, because in reading about you, your inspiration was Elvis Presley. How far removed could you possibly be, to find your niche in folk?
Well, I got into folk right after Elvis. I was 13 and Elvis turned me on to the guitar, and about 6 months later I was into folk music. I was into the Weavers and Pete Seeger and all that kind of thing. I went to the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago, and I really I got turned on by folk, and I loved it.
When you go out and buy a record now, who do you buy?
I haven't bought a record in a long time.
I'm ashamed.
Well,
I'm shocked and
I
sad.
usually get them free,
I see. We thank you for coming by. We remind the audience that Beacon Theater will kind of look back at the 60s this Friday night and wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
You and David. Okay. Ralph?
All right.